candidates.
Okay, come in front so they will see your face.
Yes.
They put your face to
when the delegations came to Liberia, I guess they met with the two candidates, and in your recommendations, you called for both of them to accept the results, whatever way it will come. What did they say to you in terms of accepting these results? Because they have supporters, they have advisors. What did the candidates as individuals say to you in accepting these results? Because it's a win or lose when I become president on that.
Okay, I think we can take, and the man from the man with the Nigerian. Oh, okay, yes. You've been duly recognized. So please your name and your...
Good afternoon, I'm Frank Sewola from the News Public Trust. My question is to President Mahama. You head in the ECOWAS mission. We read in one of the local dailies this morning that the ECOWAS technical team and the team from the NDI were prevented by NEC from entering the data room. Are you aware?
I think the last one. Okay, yeah. Fourth one to the women. Not a very good.
I'm Emmanuel Jinaka Council, and I report for the Independent newspaper. And as I listened to the first two speakers on the grading on the corner of the election, they are all sweet-coated. The process and people voted, there was no hindrance, but I'm short of hearing a technical word as to whether or not the process was peaceful, fair, and transparent. So can the ECOWAS Commission clearly say to the world that this process has to be peaceful, fair, and transparent? Thank you.
I'm wondering why you are putting ECOWAS on the spot. You observed something, didn't you? Well, Your Excellency, I know you can handle that. I think with any other, I think they can deal with these four, and then that's fair enough. Your Excellency, you have the.
Okay, I'll take a bite of the sherry and then I'll leave the rest to my co-chair, Mr. Mwencha. As far as we're aware, tallying has begun at the National Electoral Commission. As you know, tallying begins at the polling stations, and then when they are done, they relay them to the county tallying centers, and then from there they come to the National Tallying Center. And so tallying has begun at the National Tallying Center. We are not the National Elections Commission to be able to say exactly when they will be done with this process and be able to announce a winner. But I am of the view that because it's a less complicated election with only two candidates, the tallying is going to go much faster than it did in the first election. And so we can anticipate that in a matter of hours, not several days, we should know who has won this election, and a declaration should be made. But let's all have patience for the process so that the process is carried out accurately, and we don't, in our rush to declare a result, create another complication, which could become the matter of judicial intervention. And so let's give the next phase to be able to do this process, certify the results, and eventually tell us who has won. But I believe that sooner rather than later, we would get the final results. We met with the two candidates. Indeed, it was not only the ECOWAS, I think the AU, NDI, and other observer groups met with the two candidates. And we wanted to know if they had any outstanding concerns that we could bring to the attention of the government or the security services or the National Elections Commission, so that, those could be dealt with in order that they go into the election with a fair amount of satisfaction and confidence. I think they were both fairly satisfied with the arrangements that had been made. With regards to the Unity Party, they complained about not being given electronic copies of the FRR. They had been given hard copies, but they wanted electronic copies. The Elections Commission was a bit reluctant to give the electronic copies because they were afraid that they could be tampered with and used to create some problem in the future. But the parties at least had the hard copies. And also, in the interest of transparency, the hard copies of the FRR were displayed at all the polling stations. And so it was not a secret document. At every polling station, those eligible to vote had copies of the FRR posted outside the station. And so I don't think that that should be an issue that anybody would have raised seriously. And so there were also a few issues about security and ensuring the safety of election officials and party agents. But as I said, with our observation across the country, we don't think that there were any serious incidents, of violence against any persons, either elections officers or party agents. We have a report of the LNP as at the election day, and they record incidents that happened. There were 2 accidents of Liberian National Police vehicles. They had accidents, and one of the passengers is in hospital. There was a slight incident with drive-by stone throwing in some parts of Monrovia. The perpetrators were arrested. 2 vehicles of the Unity, 1 vehicle of the Unity Party and 1 vehicle of the CDC, that's a very good balance, were arrested for displaying campaign material on them. They had not taken the stickers off, and they're not supposed to have them on election day. And so they were arrested, but then on the intervention of the IGP, the drivers were cautioned and released. These were minor. I'll just give you an example of some of the minor incidents that occurred, and so there was nothing that was so apprehensive. We impressed on the 2 candidates to exercise restraint, and we believe that as the chief stakeholders in the elections, their conduct was going to be critical in terms of how their supporters react. And so we explained to them that we will be watching their conduct, and we expect them to, by extension, make sure that their conduct ensures peace and proper behavior amongst their supporters. And they assured us that they will do so. And so we also asked that both of them accept the results when they are declared. And of course, they assured us that they would accept the results on condition that the elections are free, fair, and transparent. And I know that that's what every candidate says. There's always that caveat. And so largely, they accepted that they would endorse the results if they were free, fair, and transparent. We don't have any information of our technical team back from the data room. Our technical team has been working very closely with the EC in respect of the issues that were raised by the Supreme Court, and the technical team has been very critical in terms of bringing the voters' roll to the level of acceptability that we've been able to achieve. At the request of the National Elections Commission, we asked the technical team to stay on. They had finished their work, they were going to leave, but we asked them to stay on and help the EC with transmission and make sure that data handling is done effectively. So I'll be surprised if the Elections Commission locked them out of the data room. We haven't received any such report, and I hope that nothing like that has happened. As far as I can say, at this moment, the technical team is in the data room working with the Elections Commission. And so I don't know where this report is coming from. I don't know about the NDI, but I guess that the NDI can respond to what was said. You're asking if we can say with our hands on our hearts that the election was peaceful, fair, and transparent. largely it was us at this point. If you look, and that's why we indicated at every part of the election that we're talking about. And so I spoke about the pre-election environment, I spoke about the opening of the poll, I spoke about the conduct of the poll up to the vote counting. We observed all those processes, and we can say from the observation of the areas we covered and from the information that we have picked from our collaborators and other election observer missions, the Liberian police, and that's why I read a copy of the report of the incident report of the Liberian police to you. We also have feedback from the National Elections Commission, and bringing all that information together and synthesizing it, I can say with my hand on my heart that up to the point of counting, the election was peaceful, transparent, free, and fair.
On the other hand, well, that was the endorsement we were looking for, I think, and that goes well with every other observer and Liberians themselves. I think you need to also congratulate yourself. Now, let me, His Excellency is still talking. Oh, all right. If there are other things that he left unsaid, okay. Or, Your Excellency? Okay. Now it's time to thank you for coming. Let's call on, now we're giving our women the last chance to breathe. So, Madam Commissioner, vote of thanks. Thank you very much.
Yes, Your Excellency, the head of the ECOWAS observer mission to Liberia, John Dramani Mahama, former president of the Republic of Ghana. Your Excellency, the head of the AU mission to Liberia, Erastus Mwancha. Your Excellency, my own brother, Mabantunde Adishomo, the head of the special representative of the ECOWAS president to Liberia, Your Excellency Zarif, Farid Zarif, the UN Secretary General Special Representative to Liberia, Your Excellencies, heads of diplomatic missions and heads of agencies and organizations, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters from the media, mine is a very simple task, is to thank you all for coming, but I wish to start, of course, by paying homage and gratitude to the good people of Liberia and all the political actors and stakeholders for remaining, as we heard, committed to the electoral process. To this end, we would like to express our profound gratitude for the role played by the National Elections Commission, the security agencies and diplomatic community, the media, the civil society, and others. Indeed, as we all have heard, the conduct of all stakeholders during this exercise is significant for the progress we are making as a community in consolidating the values of democracy, which is regarded as sacrosanct value and the only legitimate way of expressing our choice of leadership in the region. It is indeed our hope that beyond this electoral period, the same display of political maturity and sacrifice for Liberia's national interest is maintained. I would also like to commend the efforts of all other international observer missions, namely the AU, the EU, NDI, Carter Center, ISA, the governments of Nigeria, Japan, and the United States of America to these epoch-making elections in Liberia. Your presence here, of course, attests to your commitment and solidarity with us, ECOWAS, in our guests to have free, fair, and transparent elections, which is a major bedrock to consolidation of democracy, human rights, and rule of law in all our member states. Permit me, Your Excellencies, to thank my brother, the special representative of the ECOWAS president to Liberia, for his commitment and dedication. He has helped us. We are at the headquarters, but he's here on the ground, and he has been able to make things very smooth for us, the coordination, and of course what we have seen on the ground. I also wish to thank the organized civil society for their hard work and commitment. And ECOWAS, I wish to also tell you that we are trying to consolidate all what we have gained. We have learned from here. Next time we are moving into Sierra Leone, and we hope to carry some of the experience to better the processes there. We continue to grow by the day. We have had, of course, you have the main actor here on my left, Ghana. We have the president of Nigeria here, who had also been in the field. So we hope to build so that the courts will not be the last arbiter of elections in our region. We want our people to choose wisely and to accept the results. Thank you very much, members of the press, for coming. We thank you all, and we wish you all safe journey back to our various destinations. Thank you, Your Excellency.